Give me a couple seconds. I am just sharing out, trying to get some of our fam popping in. When you hop in, say hello. We are going to be getting started on a report tonight on Harrisburg State Hospital. This was a request from from my aunt, essentially. So when you come in, just say hello. Let me know who's in here. Trying to remember everyone, and it's kind of hard to remember. It's such a big list. So if I miss somebody, please go back and share it out. Hello, Paranormal Investigation from North Florida. How are you doing, hon? So if we miss somebody, just share it out. We will be getting started in PA tonight on a investigation that was presented to me by my aunt. She's been wanting to know information about Harrisburg State Hospital. So I figured we'd give it a shot, and I did some research, and it's pretty interesting with what you'll hear tonight. I do have some pictures and literature to go with that. This report, I went to the archives, and then I did order a book for more information. So this is all handwritten by me, just information I pulled from various sources. So we are going to start out with the Harrisburg. It was not Harrisburg State Hospital originally. It was Pennsylvania State Lunatic Hospital. It opened its doors on October 1st of 1851, 5 days after the Pennsylvania State Hospital opened. Patient arrived. Elizabeth was their very first patient from Londonderry Township. She was a 42-year-old, was suffering from epilepsy and another disease. Hello, Miss Queen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to see you in here, darling. Thank you for the bits. That was more than likely brought on by the loss of the 2 out of 3 sons of Charlotte fever by late July that year. So there was a young lady, of course, she's in her 40s, but, she was sick and she was brought there. By October 1851, there were 12 patients, 6 male, 6 female. However, by the end of the first year, patients increased to 37. 24 male and 13 female. The price of room and board was set to $2 per week. Hello, Michelle. Thank you for coming in, hon. What, October is your birthday? So is hubby's. So $2 per week, that is pretty cheap, considering what it is now. Now, they wound up having a young lady that Miss Dick's 18th, 2 days before Chad's. Chad's is the 20th. Thank you guys for coming in. I do appreciate it. So Miss Dick, Dorothy Dick, D-I-K, showed great interest in the Institute and patients. Therefore, she has raised a lot of money in Philadelphia to build a bowling alley, 2 libraries, a museum, several horses, a carriage, magic lanterns, music instruments, and many music books. So this woman went and had fundraisers and, hey mom, and bake sales and different whatever she could to raise money for the hospital so these patients would have something to do. The board of trustees took a great consideration of the great service Dick rendered. In 1853, the board of trustees authorized the superintendent to receive and treat without charge any one person recommended by admissions by Dick. So Miss Dorothy, any patients that she would register would not be charged for treatment or room and board because of her, which was great because back then they would bring people off the street just to get treatment in a warm bed. So it meant a lot. Therefore, anyone recommended by her entering the hospital on March 6th of 1853 and remained until death of 1895. By the end of 1853, the count of patients has increased. Why do you want to come up here so bad? I'm sorry, guys. Come on. By the end of 1853, the count of patients has increased to 182. The hospital aided the soldiers. Sorry, guys. I did. I got it all shaved off. Yep. It feels so much better. You cannot get up there, baby. Be my parrot. The hospital aided the soldiers during the Civil War at the camp. However, soldiers that were too sick to care for at camp were brought to the hospital for treatment. The hospital provided soldiers with thousands of pounds of food as beef and ham, gallons of coffee, and clothes. Yeah. I call her my cat parrot because every time I'm here and I go to do something, she's got to be right here. Right? Yeah. You can see her tail wagging. She knows. Where was I? As beef and ham, gallons of coffee, clothes were also prepared for the sick. The soldiers were allowed to use the hospital's bathrooms and laundry facilities. Yeah, well, little girl, you are not going to like me in just a second. I'm just going to let you know that now. Okay. I am going to show some photos. Thank God I have this all set up because if she would have hopped up here with me not having all this set up, imagine the struggle. Yeah. So I went and got a new job today. In the midst of me sharing this, I'll explain it all. So I now work at my daughter's school, which is pretty nifty because I won't have to worry about school bus messing up, which is kind of cool. So this is the main building of the Center of Administration Center section with a set of wings extending on each side. On one side is the females ward. On the other side is the males ward. Yes. To the right is the female. To the left is the male. The ward which housed the patients were arranged so that the second set of ward received 20 feet behind the first, and the third the same distance. The arrangement was to ensure that the most fresh air and sunlight possible was allowed. Hello, Phoenix. Thank you for coming in. So this was the original draw up of what it used to look like. So you would take one for one side, one for the other, and this would be the main registration right here. No, that's not it. We'll get to that in a little bit. Me. No, she's trying to get comfy. She does not care. She is such the biggest baby. Hope everybody is having a fantastic night. Alright, so here's this. This is the next one. The next one I'm going to show you, these pictures came from the archives. And this, I'm going to try to blow this up just a little bit. Maybe it'll, no, maybe not. Oh, there we go. So this is the blueprint. This is a photograph of the actual blueprint of the main floor, which is currently aside the Pennsylvania State Archives. Ooh, little girl was doing the crocheting machine because with her tiny hands it just won't work. And she was doing some crocheting earlier, so she was having fun making some hats. She got 2 down. Yeah, I know how to, but I have arthritis in my thumb, so that doesn't work out well. So this is all of the first floor, and if you can read it, it's really blurry, so I can't. But there's little numbers within that'll show you the room numbers. That is not what I wanted. So that was pretty cool. It actually showed you the layout and how big it is. So that was pretty awesome. Really? Oh yeah. I definitely feel you on that. These bad boys don't let me do very much of anything. So I definitely feel you on that. Oh, come on, cooperate. Oh no. Okay, there we go. Lily girl, you are so sweet. I just don't know what mommy would do without you. So this is when they started with the early problems of building and the new. All right, you okay? You better. Okay. Oh, just say. Sorry, I got a cat that was rearranging herself. So in November of 1851, just 1 month after the hospital officially opened, some of the problems described in a letter, hold on, she's trying to get down, were poorly fitted windows with gaps large enough to fit one's finger through, and the doors were not properly latched due to the settling of the building. Gust of winds from the previous windows would blow open and the doors of the patient's rooms, so they would have already issues in the building and the windows and stuff like that. So this is their seating area in this little, what I call the tunnel of the building. So in each floor they would have, and I'll show that in a later photo. I'm sorry it's a little blurry, but that's just how they gave it to me on how they had it. 7. I don't think I was ever taught. I think it was more of something I wanted to pick up for myself. It was kind of fun to do. So this, and I'll show you. Hey, Bonabonker, Chris, I think, or Dakota, one of you two. I don't know. You'll let me know eventually. This is their seating. Every floor would have a gathering. And of course, they would have it on one side for the males and on the other side for the females, because they weren't allowed to mingle unless they were working. And we will get to that later on. But this is kind of what the one side of the ward. They were both identical in length and rooms and how many rooms. I thought it was Chris. Hey, Chris. How you doing, hon? So that was pretty cool. I'll take the Pepsi now. Sorry. One of my kids were handing me a Pepsi. Well needed. Give me 1 second to wet my whistle. And then she put my little baby ice cream in the freezer. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for all the commotion. For our first time being back after a while, we've had a lot of health issues and a lot of school starting, and last 3-4 weeks have been hectic. But, we made it through, and now we're here. So, let me see. With this guy. This is a closer look of the front of the administration center. It was a 4 stories tall with a large Tuscan. Which one is that? I do. That was Lucky Ma. On the ground floor were apartments for the stewardesses and matrons, as well as a kitchen. On the second floor was offices and reception rooms for visitors, and the third accommodated an apartment for the superintendent and his family. So everybody that ran this hospital lived there. They didn't go nowhere, and by the Linda, that's why I've been only popping in very little. A lot to deal. Yeah. After I got done dealing with my husband, then it was my turn. So I'm kicking it through. I'm not sick, but I do have some, us ladies will call female problems. And I'm kicking through it. I'm going to start kicking some butt. You got to get things done, right? So that's what I thought. Yeah. So let me see. I missed my tab. Uh-oh, I threw myself off. That's what I do. When I flip and not pay attention, huh? Maybe. Well, I'll stop right there before. Tiffany must have went and picked up. No, she came here right off the bus, Mom. We'll talk about that later. Oh, Sugarfoot. Okay. By 30 years, the construction finished. The main building was in poor shape. It was constructed carelessly and quickly in poor material. However, by 1881, conditions started to decline and crumble. They hired their first architect, John Sutherland. Can I please? Absolutely. Give me a second. I will figure that out. I gotcha for sure. Maybe. Let's keep our fingers crossed that I don't just end this, and I'm not trying to. Oh man. Let's see. Can I mute this when I want to? There we go. I can mute it. Dismiss. Let's write you up. Oh, wrong side. Oh, and you scrolled away. I think I got it. I just lost you for a minute there. 10. No. Uh-oh, hold on. What? I don't want to hide it. Where'd it go? Your chat disappeared on me. What happened? Hey, I can't find the chat on the YouTube. I had it, and now it disappeared. What the world is going on? Why isn't it working? Nothing is liking me tonight. At all. Let's try it one more time, and then I'll get to read. Oh, get to reading. Oh, here we go. Add moderator. I think it worked. Try texting. I hope it worked. Just let me know what happens. Should be able to see it now. Okay, let's down that. 13 years of construction. Poor was constructed carelessly and quickly with poor material. However, by 1881, conditions. Did it work? Yoo-hoo! I did it. Conditions started to decline and crumble. They hired their first architect, John Sutherland, to inspect. You're welcome. To inspect the buildings. Sutherland found it unworkable to alter or make in any way safe except by the cost. I mean, he wanted to knock everything down and rebuild from scratch. He did not want to patch the wall here and redo the foundation over there. You know, he didn't want to do a patchy job. If he was going to do it, he wanted to do it the right way. Knock it down, get it gone, and start from scratch. Back then, they didn't have that money. So that didn't seem like a smart thing to do because it was too expensive to repair. In 1884, now we have jumped about 3 to 4 years. Another architect, Addison Hudson, wrote an Ullman report on a very poor state of the buildings. At this point, the legislature refused to grant funds, which we already know it was done because John tried it before and it was denied there too. So instead of putting up funds to repair, they had the buildings replaced. So now they give in. Replace, and over the next 10 years. So within the next 10 years, they're now shuffling clients and patients and workers and laborers around from building to building just to try to repair something that they could have done in the beginning. By 1856, the boiler house for heat and power equipment, that's where they started because they needed to start somewhere. A water works to supply fresh water, and a farm to grow crops and raise livestock. A successful patient to succeed, patients were they were told to run the farm. At this point, they went out and mowed the grass or planted flowers or harvest the crops or tend to the animals. They had a full running legit farm, from the vegetables to the chickens and the goats and the cows for the meat and the milk and the eggs and everything you would need to run a household, what we used to do. That's what they did then to save the money so they could repair, to have some sanity for the patients that were there, because they were there because they were sick. They had mental illnesses and had no way of knowing what outside looked like unless they were out there working. They would plant flowers, mow grass, shovel snow, and even help construct buildings. So they would send the men to help construct, women to mow the grass or plant the flowers. The labors of patients were gained some sense of pride and purpose. Patients were supervised and instructed by attendant and staff. Now I'm going to switch over here. So this gentleman right here was the attendee that told everybody essentially what to do, where to work, and what they needed to work on. The dogs were the companions on the farm. He was essentially there to maintain what was supposed to be there. The people in the gardens, they were told what to do. Right here. This is the captain in the photo, George K. Head gardener and dogs. About 1900, this man was in charge of overseeing the work done on the grounds and around the new buildings constructed between 1893 and 1910. His responsibilities included filling the ravine, leveling the ground, planting grass and trees, and supervising the vegetable garden. So he played a big role in making sure everything went according to plan. And he has some very pretty puppies. We are going to work on the next one. So this is what they would use to take the coal out of the cellar or the basement, is what we call it, and remove it. And they would use the horse and buggies back then, or the wagons, to do so. It would help with labor. It would help with harvesting. It would help with a lot of things. And they would trust the patient to help control this. It would give them sense of pride, saying, I can drive this. I can control this horse and this wagon, or shovel that coal and get it out of here. It was just part of their daily routine. They get up, they have a routine. The females would go down and do the dishes or the meals or whatever the case may be for that day. It was just something that became a daily routine. The men would go learn manly things. The women would obviously go do women things, and they would try to keep them as separate as possible until it came to holiday functions like Christmas or Thanksgiving, or some special occasion where they were able to mingle amongst each other with supervision. They built their own chapel. So don't worry about that. But this was pretty cool because they would learn a lot of functions, a lot of, they're independent. They wouldn't feel as crazy as if you guys remember the Crownsville report, where they were going absolutely nuts because they didn't know anything but the inside of the walls. Or Forest Haven, the same thing. They didn't know anything but the inside of the walls or the inside of the brick gate because they weren't allowed. And that was part of the problem, is that they weren't allowed. And if it ever came down to the part where they were allowed, it was one of those, let's stick your eye through the little creek, in the wall. That's just how it would happen. I'm going to show this last one, then I'll continue reading. This is how they would transport. I think this is the right one. Yeah. Make sure I was hitting the right one. This is how they would transport their laundry. Before they had it in the same building, and before they had tunnels running from one to another, they would take this huge flat wagon and they would load it with bags and bags and bags of sheets and clothes and towels and washcloths and whatever needed to be washed. And they would take it over, the men, and take it over to the females to be washed, folded, sorted, and brought back. And that was their daily thing. The patients helped with this. They did hire some staff to help with this. And the staff would mainly oversee what was going on. Because with that, you got to think they were there to get help. Granted, they really were, because they were ill. But it came a time where they were also there because they had nowhere else to go. At one point, they were bringing in people from the streets, the homeless, the alcohol, the drugs, anybody and everybody that needed it. And it got so overcrowded. And that's what we're getting ready to get into. By 1914, overcrowding was still an issue. By then, there were 1,319 patients. The building's designed to hold only 1,000. So now you have over 300 patients sleeping in hallways, sleeping on the floor, not in beds because they couldn't afford over 300 extra beds because they were not prepared for that. But then when they gave open arms to everybody and anybody, that's what happened. Whew, I'm sorry. And a lot of the overcrowding was without mental illnesses, as in homeless, elderly, alcohol, drug addictions, and etc. It could be for any numerous of reasons. You did not, at that time, after they rebuilt and they were in the midst of getting things done, you didn't have to have a mental illness. You can have a cough and walk out and say, I'm homeless. That's just who they were. The overcrowding caused issues. Hey, Dobby, how you doing, hon? Overcrowding issues of patients sleeping in hallways, and they barely had any linen. So if they were to sleep in a hallway, it would be, if you had a jacket, cover, because a lot of times they didn't. The superintendent was the first to coin the hospital wasn't just a hospital. It had got its nickname from the superintendent, Howard. City on the Hill. In his 1950-1952 report, the nickname was certainly not far from the truth, as the hospital was like living in a small city. It had everything from a general store to a butcher. It even had a print shop and a fire department. Patients and staff lived together in the same campus. Even the superintendent and his family lived in the administration building. Every Christmas, everyone would gather for music festives, and patients would receive some form of gifts, even if it was just candy or fruit throughout the year. There would be picnics on the lawn, horse shows, basketball and softball games, and a yearly cherry blossom festival. So they try to make this as normal as possible for the patients that were there. Other literature activities consist of playing pool, reading in the library, and playing in the hospital band or orchestra. So remember that Doris, I believe that's her name, early on when we started talking about her, when she raised all that money. Well, a lot of that money went towards opening and building a lot of these buildings that she wanted to have some sense of normal for the patients that came in. Some sort of routine. They get up, they do their thing. If they're done their chores, then go pick an activity. Just like what we do with our kids. But back then, it was a little different, especially when you have a really serious mental illness. It was one of those, you had to do something. So she went and got instruments and music books, and they would teach them, or a lot of them, I used to do it when I was in high school, just listen to the tune, and you were able to pick the note up. It was hard, but I did it. And that's what they used to do. In the early days, patients would take carriage rides and watch magic lantern shows. And this was also the city on the hill at the hospital. A trip to Harrisburg for a fair were common. and some patients would receive weekend passes to leave the hospital on their own. Patients at the hospitals would receive a mix of activities. Typically, they would follow a routine consist of rest, meals, and free time on the ward and outside. Time working in one of the various shops, and of course, the time received in treatments and illnesses. Treatment methods of patients varied greatly throughout the 155-year history of the hospital. In the early days, the best available treatment method was simply good food and plenty of fresh air. And keep in mind, occupied through the amusement and work. When the original hospital was built, the idea was to use the actual buildings as a method of treatment. This was common throughout the United States in the mid to late 19th century. States would often build Kirk brick designed hospitals with lots of embroidery decorations, open and airy wards, manicured lawn and gardens. Harrisburg attempted this method to treat unsuccessfully with the original main building. Now, switch this back over. There is, since they were talking about a treatment, let's do this first. While I'm on here, before I show this picture, I got this idea of this hospital, and they are allowing investigations. I have been in contact with them, so we will be planning that. I don't know when, so I can't give a date. So if there is anywhere you would like for me to research that you are curious in but don't know where to start, let me know. My aunt did, and this is where we're at. I think it's interesting, not only for me, but to give educational information to you. Hold on. Okay, never mind. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, if there's anywhere, like we have an opportunity to go to Penhurst to do an investigation. So we are working on that. I will be doing a legit report on that prior to going. So I don't know if I will be doing the show before or after, just so I can collaborate that together. But it will be together. So if there's anywhere in the United States, all I have to do is go online. I have had no issues. Say hi, babe. Hi, bye, honey. Sorry, that was a lot. Hubby coming in, and then he had the daughter leaving. It's a lot in our house. And there's Rosie. Say hi, Rosie. Hi. Hi. Okay, and now I'm in my show, so you gotta go. So this next one I'm going to show you is part of the band/orchestra that they would do on holidays and events and such like that. So this is their instruments. They would go in the chapel. Some of the chapel there. And all of the buildings, again, they say are handmade. They are legitimately handmade. That's how they taught a lot of the young gentlemen that used to come in and need treatment and stuff. So this is part of that. So this is part of the band/orchestra. They would play holiday music or at musical festivals that they would have on the hill. That was their entertainment/education, which was a lot. Oh, nope, not working. Sorry. I thought it would. It was not working. I swear there was somebody standing at my door. That is just me. So this is the females ward. This is where they would sleep. And you see the little rocking chairs. There wasn't really much. It was a very narrow hallway. So with that, it was, you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe 6 down there. 6 on this side, 6 on that side. You got to think it was 3 or 4 stories high. That's quite a bit if you think of it that way. But this is just one hall. So just imagine how many halls are in there. Not all rooms had windows. Some that were worse had windows because they needed that light and that fresh air. Yep, that's it. So this is the gentleman's. As you see, it's a little darker. It's a little different. But it is kind of set up the same way, a very narrow hallway. Again, they would have their chairs as the rocking chairs, and the men would sit out there and mingle on their free time or what they could do and stuff like that. And then the females, they would go sew. They have a sewing room where they would go and fix somebody's slacks or, whatever the case may be. They would always have their hands into something. This is, like we said, everybody there had a job. This is the kitchen. This is part of the kitchen. There are giant pots for their foods. And this is a lot of times where the male and female, the males would cook, the females would serve. It was kind of one of those, you stick it through the window and order up, however they would work that. So this was the big kitchen that they would work in, which was pretty awesome. I am losing space. There we go. And this is also part of the kitchen. Yeah, honey.
Did Daddy say she'll see his car?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I asked him to. So this is the outside of the back kitchen where they would bring in the harvest and, steam some stuff, chop some things. That's what this thing is for. Split the wood. It's what these are for. This is logs and woods and supplies that these were patients that would work there. And a lot of times they wouldn't take the room and board out of their pay because they were doing hard work, hard labor. If they weren't there for long and that's just their way of maintaining as something to do, then yeah, they just might. Throughout the end of the 20th century, the population of the hospital fell. I think, oh, no, I didn't. I thought I jumped ahead. I do apologize. Population of the hospital fell rapidly. This was due to the combination of new drugs and a push to return care for the mentally ill back to the community centers and homes. The patient's population in Harrisburg State Hospital in 1992 was a mere 450 patients. Only those who had repeated admission to the county mental health center were being referred to the state hospital. Of those who were still being admitted to the hospital, the average stay was down to 6 months. The hospital was finally closed on January 27th of 2006, 3 months prior to the closure, the patient's population was down to only 148. It seems that a brief of what is best for the care of those with mental illnesses has come full circle in 200 years. From a push in the 1800s to get people off the streets and into a state-run institute where they could receive 24-hour supervision, in modern times, they are being returned to home and even to the streets from where they came. According to the State Abuse and Mental Ill Care Administration, of the 2009, there were approximately 11 million adults in the United States with serious mental illnesses. So this is absolutely phenomenal on how quick the hospital has turned. It was definitely a wow factor for me. I'm not going to lie. Researching this kind of was, you cherish what you have. And I always say that because you just never know. You just never know. So I do have a few more pictures. This one I'm about to show you. Is it that one? I think it's that one. Since they're black and white or gray, I'm sorry, but they kind of look alike when I go to bring them up. It really doesn't do me any justice. This actually is the morgue. That is the doctor or the specialist that would take care of all that. But this was the morgue back then, where they would bring them in and put them on the table back there. But that was pretty awesome. And this is the pharmacy. We actually walked through in, was it Pennsylvania? No, Virginia, I think. And it was a museum pharmacy like this, which was pretty awesome. This is the laundry room that the females would do all of the laundry in, wash them, fold them, sort them. This is part of the boiler room. Let's see the boilers. Part of the boiler room where the men would shovel the coal into the furnaces to keep the water hot. Heat in the furnace. This is the other side of the pharmacy. This is all of the patients gathered in a room. I believe this is the mixture that they allowed, but it was supervised. They did not believe in mixing, which was kind of sad, but kind of understandable. This was the, what did it say? I don't remember. I think it was the laundry room. Let's see that. Ironing room. I don't want to make a liar out of me. This was the harvest that they used to do. They would come out for hours on end and just go at it. So they did a lot of hard work. This is their greenhouse where they would start, and then they would take it from there and put it out in the fields. So these are actual patients. They're not staff. The staff would supervise the patients. That's the keeper. This is a treatment that I wanted to show you guys. This is a method of hydrotherapy. Seen in the picture, it is called a wet pack. A patient would lie on the table wrapped in wet sheets for an extended period of time. As the sheets dried, they would shrink to limit the patient's movement. The intention was to calm and to restrain an anxiety or excited patient. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the raid, Dizzy. You're awesome. So this was kind of their therapy that they would do for their patients. It would help with their anxiety. It would help calm. Like if somebody has ADHD. Hey, Bubble Mittens. Thank you guys for coming in. I do appreciate it. So, and this was pretty awesome. Reading about this. I wonder, Dizzy Raid. I love it, Dizzy. It's so cute, Dizzy Raid. I do appreciate it. I really do. So this was one of their treatments. They would not give all of their treatments, secrets out. This is the patients would have use of the tubs of this undated photo as part of their hydrotherapy. There were many different methods to the treatments used throughout the years. Another common method called a rain bath was where a patient would stand in the shower stall and an attendant would spray on various types of nozzles. Ooh. Oh, I wonder why. No. So this was also another thing. I wonder what kind of nozzles they use. Where's they had the fancy jet ones, the pulsations, felt good on your back. I doubt it, but it sounds good. So for those that are just coming in, thank you for the raid. We are doing a report tonight on Harrisburg State Hospital, which started out as Pennsylvania State Lunatic Hospital, and what they used to do back then. I will go over a small summary of that. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was reading. Sorry. So this was the front of the hospital. The middle here would be the administrative. To the left was the men's. To the right was the female. So, and that was pretty awesome. It was sad that they kept them separate, but I'm assuming it was for all good reason. So I can't really judge that, not knowing the purpose, because the information I did get was, from them. So this was also part of the kitchen. You are so welcome. This is, again, the kitchen, their drinks or whatever. I am doing great. Just trying to get some work done. Get past the first week of school. How you guys handling that? So again, this is just the supervisor supervising all the females. That's their little. But you got to turn that down out there. He's got me hearing echoes. I know we don't mean it, but it's there. So this is their dining room. So they were able to do all of the females at one time. And this was very, very tiny. I mean, you see everybody is crammed in elbow to elbow. And it had to be very uncomfortable. But that's just how they would do it. And their servants, the two ladies here, would sit up here in the front so they would be able to, I guess, pass the food, because I wouldn't see any way of getting past the lady over here or over there unless they go through the door. Woo. Sorry, guys. This was their sitting room, their mingle area, where they were able to their entertainment and their free time after work and such like that. And this is also where the library and everything was. Their activities is in the basement of the main building. That was that. This was all the servants, the waitresses, the ladies that we saw in the kitchen. This is them. They were forced. Nobody liked taking a picture, especially being sick. So they were definitely forced to take a photo with the head guy here that ran the show. They did not want to, because it wasn't them. This is the head nurse. In this clip, she is writing a report. That is the old scientists used them. If somebody remembers what it's called, then let me know. But yeah. And that's their heat duct. Yeah, that's it. What was it? That telescope. He said it in that quick, I forgot. Microscope. Ha! See, I knew I'd get it. Again, another picture. They had 2 different kitchens. They had, of course, everyone ate together. Why does that look? No. It either looks wet or it looks like the floor is gone. But to me, with the shadow, it looks all wet. Just noticed that. So it's pretty cool on how they were able to take a lot of. This is a patient that. Let's see if I can find that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I remembered a lot of this. I do know that this was a patient. I think this was one of their homeless patients that came in. They just because it was snowing out, and I get it. I do. I don't have anything against that. And he had absolutely nowhere to go. Where did it go? Give me 1 second, folks. I do apologize. It is in here. I know it is, because I saw it. Who's in the bathroom? Nobody. Thanks for yelling. No, I did not. Kids. No, I can't find it, but that's okay. When I do, I'll let you guys know. But this was a client. This is the orchestra/band that Miss Dorothy. Yep. If there's any questions, please don't hesitate. Ask. That's what I'm here for. When I do my reports, I do study them. So this is how crowded it was when they were doing the rebuild and knockdown. They were knocking down everything. They had 1, 2, 3, and 4 rows. And this is where the men would sleep. And then they would do the same thing on the other side for the female. And they had to sleep like that for a very long time until they were able to have at least 4 in a room, which after that happened, it ended up being 10. So it wasn't that bad. It was, before it became crowded. Trying to see if we missed any. The harvest, the grounds that they would have to plant and pick. And again, they would teach all the patients, if they didn't know it already, they would earn that skill either before they wind up passing or whatever the case may be. Again, these are the, patients that would go out and help with the gardening. This is the guy that was in charge of it all. The hydrotherapy with the wet sheets. There, they are putting one on the patient now. Another therapy. And that's just the front building again. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I really enjoy doing the research. I do think it is fun and educational. And I don't only learn, but I know my family likes to pitch in. There goes little girl. See how the camera went, one of the two. I don't know. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. If you would like to pick my next topic for my next show, please don't hesitate to ask. Sorry, my parrot's back. So with that, I will wait a couple minutes. If you guys have any questions for me at all or any suggestions for the next show, let me know. Brother. Say hi, Miss Lily. Look, you're on TV. Ouch. I know, I'm sorry. She's like, me, mommy. I think everybody wants to see you on there, huh? Yeah. Yeah, little Miss Tiger Lily. She's still the baby. She, everywhere I am, aren't ya? Yeah. All right, folks, if there's no questions, no suggestions, you can even shoot me an email if you find a topic that is interesting to you. I have tons of books and files to go through. Maybe I have one. But until then, stay safe. And we do love you guys and appreciate all the support. So we love you guys. Bye.